Jungle Book, Rudyard Kipling, page 55. A filling meal and a deep sleep I wish for you, Ran, cried Bagheera. I will remember your deed and set aside part of my next kill for you. It is nothing, Ran replied as he circled to leave. The boy spoke the master words. He has not forgotten to use his tongue or his teaching, Baloo said with a chuckle of pride. I am proud of him, agreed Bagheera. But now we must go to the Cold Lairs. The Cold Lairs was a place that all the jungle people knew of, but seldom visited. An old deserted city, lost and buried in the jungle. It had once been inhabited by man. Only the monkeys spent time there now. It is half a night's journey, Bagheera said, looking at Baloo. I will go as fast as I can, replied the bear. Kaa and I must go ahead, said Bagheera. Follow us as quickly as you can. The panther rushed ahead at a fast canter, while a silent Kaa kept up easily. You are no slow goer, Kaa, remarked Bagheera. I am hungry, Kaa replied, finding the shortest route and slithering along beside him. And they called me names. In the Cold Lairs, the monkey people were very pleased with themselves for capturing the man cub. And Mowgli, who had never seen a man-made city before, was fascinated by the decrepit buildings all around him. The ruin was set on a little hill. Trees had grown into and out of the walls of the houses, and wild vines hung out of the tower windows of the crumbling palace of a long-dead king. The cobblestones in the courtyard where the king's elephants once stood were now thrust apart by wild grasses and young trees. Below the palace were the rows and rows of roofless houses that made up the city, as dark and empty as catacombs. The monkeys called the ruins Monkey City and pretended to be men, but they had no idea what the structures were or how to use them. They explored all the rooms and buildings, but never remembered what they had seen. They sat in the king's council chamber and scratched for fleas or ran in and out of the roofless houses collecting broken bricks or plaster. But they always forgot where they hid the bricks and plaster and would fight among themselves about it. Then they would run down to the palace terrace and shake the orange trees just to watch the fruit fall. Over and over again, the monkey people did these things in Monkey City until they grew bored and went back to the jungle treetops, hoping that the jungle people would finally notice them. Mowgli did not understand or like the way the monkeys lived, for he had grown up with the law of the jungle, and the Bandar log had no laws. They did not let him rest after their long journey and did not give him anything to eat. Mowgli will teach us how to weave sticks together to protect us from the cold. One of the monkeys told his companions, but when Mowgli showed them how to do this, they imitated him for only a minute before losing interest, howling and pulling one another's tails. I want to eat, said Mowgli. Bring me food, or give me permission to hunt here. Several monkeys bounded away to bring him food, but they got into a fight out on the road and left the nuts and fruits they'd gathered lying in the dust. Frustrated, Mowgli roamed the city, giving the strangers hunting calls. But nobody answered him, and he began to feel lonely and afraid. Everything Baloo told me about the monkey people is true, Mowgli said to himself. I must try to get back to my own part of the jungle. But as soon as Mowgli walked to the edge of the city, the monkeys dragged him back, telling him how lucky he was to be with them, the great Bandar log. They led him to a terrace above the sandstone reservoirs, which were half full of water. The terrace was lovely, with a summer house whose walls were made of beautifully carved marble, set with a colorful polished stones. As darkness fell, the moonlight shone through the carvings and cast delicate shadows on the ground. Hundreds of monkeys gathered on the terrace to tell stories about how strong and brave and wise they were. The tales went on, and whenever a speaker paused, all the monkeys would shout, "We are the most wonderful people in all the jungle. We all say so, and it must be true." Mowgli was exhausted, and his head spun with the noise of the monkeys' voices. Tabaki the jackal must have bitten all these people, he told himself, and now they are all crazy. Mowgli looked up and saw a large cloud above, about to cover the moon. I should try to run away in the darkness of the cloud cover, he told himself, but I am so tired. In the ditch below the city wall, 2 other creatures watched the same cloud and the mass of monkeys. They too were waiting for darkness. Even a panther and a python were no match for 200 Banderlog. I will go to the west wall and come down swiftly with the slope in my favor, said Kaa, as the cloud hid the moon. I wish Baloo were here, said Bagheera, but we must do what we can without him. Up on the terrace, Mowgli heard the sound of Bagheera's feet behind him as the panther broke the circle of monkeys surrounding the man cub. There is only one here. Kill him, shouted one of the monkeys. In an instant, a scuffling mass of monkeys attacked Bagheera, biting, tearing, and scratching his body. Half a dozen others grabbed Mowgli and carried him up a wall of the summer house, dropping him through a hole in the domed ceiling. Mowgli was trapped. Stay there until we have killed your friend, the monkeys chattered. Later we will play with you, if the snakes dwelling here haven't killed you first. Mowgli wasted no time giving the snakes call. We be of one blood, you and I, he said in a long hiss. Lower your hoods, replied the dozens of cobras living in the house. The cobras relaxed then and let their hoods drop down. They would not attack Mowgli. Okay, we'll stop there.